The UFC is headed back to Saudi Arabia, and they're only taking 22 fighters with them. This was originally a 13-fight card. 2 fights drop, we are down to 11, and that makes building a DraftKings fantasy lineup just that much trickier. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Saudi Arabia fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and DraftKings plays. But before I give you my opinions, let me tell you about Price. Price is a new addition to the We Want Picks team. Between 2024 and 2025, we added a few things. We enhanced a few things. We tweaked a few things to better value you. And one of those things was adding Price. Price is a DFS expert. He approaches DFS and daily fantasy from a different perspective. Less about specific fight breakdowns and more about the strategy behind building a lineup. Price puts out 2 articles a week. One is 100% free. You don't need to be a premium member. It's just on the website for anybody in the world. And that's called The Price Point. I think it's called The Price Point. It might be called The Price Point with Price or Price is Price. Price is in the name, and it's a free article, and it comes out early in the week before we have everything that goes on, right? Before they've weighed in, before we have full salaries locked and all of that. Early in the week gives you an opinion on the slate, what it looks like, and some early reads. Then at the end of the week, after the weigh-ins, once we're good and the card is finalized, then he puts out the Slate Sleuth. The Slate Sleuth is that final article, the final breakdown of this is where I'm going, here's why, this is what these lineups are going to look like. And the proof is in the pudding. His 2 articles from last week, he puts his money where his mouth is. He is a single entry kind of guy, and this is what he did. He put up $4,600 in winnings through a few different entries across the board at UFC 311. So check out his articles. If you're a premium member, you get the premium article at the end of the week called the Slate Sleuth. If you're not a premium member, it's okay. Get the free article. Go to the website, search for Price Picks, Price Point, the Price Point with Price. Price's Point Picks. I don't know what the hell it's called, but check it out in the article because he obviously knows what he's talking about. Here's some tickets. And if you're a premium member, not only can you get that Slate Sleuth, you're also going to have full access to everything else that we do, including the best DraftKings ownership projections on the planet. Here's the numbers from UFC 311. These are the actual results. You'll see these columns. It says competitor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then us. We have the literal best DraftKings ownership projections. Those competitors aren't just like some random Joe Blow with the topology in the background that click record one day. Those are giant companies. Roto Grinders, Awesemo, Scotastics, and I know 2 of those companies are the same thing, but you get the point. Giant DFS companies who have built an entire business around only fantasy, we beat them. They have people on staff making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and we beat them. We beat them. Fair and square, every week. And it's absolutely unbelievable that we're able to do that. And it's included in the freaking $10. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. You'll have full access to all the picks, the bets, the tools, the artificial intelligence. DraftKings specifically, you'll have access to the DraftKings ownership projections. You'll have access to the DraftKings Optimizer. This is getting a major facelift shortly. You'll hear about that soon. You have access to everything that we do for only $10. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. Let's go ahead and break down this card. I mentioned there's only 11 fights. When you pull up DraftKings, it's going to say there's 13, and that's because there's 2 canceled. Here's all the canceled ones. Ikram Aliskirov was somebody I was pretty high on. That sucks. That fight's canceled. It is what it is. And Balajioki pulled out. So Abdul Karim Al-Sawadi has had 2 different opponents, but it's still not going to work. So we are down to 11 fights. And the very first fight of the night is Olympic wrestler Hamdy Abdelwahab. And I'm pretty sure I am pronouncing that like flawlessly. Like, I'm almost positive I'm nailing that. So Hamdy Abdelwahab is a former Olympic wrestler. Junior Olympics, then regular Olympics. And he's a short, stocky guy, almost built like a DC. And he comes in here, he'll bomb some overhands, and he'll look to throw you to the ground. That's it. That's the game plan. He is coming back after a 2-year layoff. You might say, he hasn't fought since 2022. What's up with that? I'll tell you what's up with that. Illegal drugs. That's right. He got popped by USADA for illegal drugs. Not recreational, performance enhancing. So he served his 2-year suspension, and he is now back. And they brought him back, and they said, here you go. here's a guy that's pretty good, but not great. You should be fine in Jamal Pogues. Jamal Pogues is a decent-sized heavyweight, pretty active striker. He's not amazing at anything, but he will stay busy. He'll just keep pumping shots out there, keep that volume up, which can frustrate people. His cardio is not very good. If he gets taken down, he doesn't have much to offer, especially off of his back. So now we're in a situation where Jamal Pogues needs to just stay insanely busy and avoid being taken down to win this fight. I think Hamdy Abdelwahab wins the fight. I will probably put Hamdy Abdelwahab in my lineup. And we are getting him at a nice 8,000 price point where he is now squarely the betting favorite. He opened as an actually it opened at his even money. He was bet down to an underdog. And now he's come all the way back up and it's full flipped. Hamdy Abdelwahab is the betting favorite and you will get a discount in him in DraftKings Fantasy. I think I am going to throw my lineup. Again, we don't have a lot of people to choose from, and we need some of these more affordable fighters to make this happen. And Hamdy at $8,000 may be worth it. A couple of takedowns, good control time. He could put up a couple of numbers. That takes us to Bogdan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. Bogdan Grad, official UFC debut here, had some success on the Contender Series. He is on a nice little win streak to make this happen. Bogdan Grad's a pretty well-rounded guy. The striking's okay. It's pretty straightforward, though. Ones, twos. He moves forward. He'll throw some heavy kicks. He likes to invest in the legs early, meaning he'll chop those legs down, sort of control your movement, and then start working his way up. He's not reckless. He's not crazy. He's not chasing finishes, even though he has 11 finishes in his 14 wins, but he's not hunting for them. They're just coming to him because he is investing in the legs, because he is sticking to a game plan, keeping things controlled, and finding his spots. Very well-rounded guy that will make adjustments in the fight. You will see here, he is priced at $8,300. That makes him the favorite. Lucas Alexander is an affordable $7,900. And he is the betting favorite. This is another situation where the underdog became the favorite. Lucas Alexander on every sports book is now minus 130 or something to that effect, depending when you're watching this. And I get it. He's a wild, athletic guy. He's a powerful striker. He likes to showcase. He'll spin, he'll jump, he'll do all the fun things. He likes to explode inside the pocket. The grappling is just okay. It's mostly defensive, but he's so good defensively that you could shoot a takedown. He'll stuff the head. He'll get behind the arms. He'll spin. He'll turn it into his own takedown. He'll create a scramble, and he'll make it benefit him. Between the two of these gentlemen, Lucas Alexander is by far the flashier. Seems to be the guy that would get more finishes, even though Bogdan is the one that's finishing at a higher rate. I think Bogdan wins this fight, but I think Lucas is a phenomenal underdog. The only reason I think Bogdan wins is because I think Lucas will get a little too crazy, will overcommit to things, will get a little too fast and loose. And Bogdan does a great job staying controlled, staying on task, and not getting sucked into the chaos. So I'm going to pick Bogdan, but I don't know if I'm going to put either one of my DraftKings lineup because this is a 50-50 fight. And if I were to put one of my DraftKings lineup, it would probably be Lucas Alexander. Because I think between the two of them, if I'm going to get that discount in pricing, $400, I might as well go on that side. Because, again, I think it's not quite 50-50. I think it's 49-51. Slight edge to Bogdan, literally only because he's more controlled and he doesn't go crazy. But UFC debut, and we've seen more than one of them absolutely shit the bed. Then we have Jasudavicius. We love Jasudavicius here. She's exactly what you want in a fighter. She's gritty. She doesn't give an F about anybody or anything, and she will grind forward and shoot takedowns. That's it. That's Jasudavicius. She's an absolute grinder. These two losses, she lost to, Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva might be champion one day. Natalia Silva is very, very good, and that was only her second fight in the UFC. Then she lost to Tracy Cortez in a pretty good fight. You could argue she had quite a bit of success in that fight. Other than that, Jasudavicius is coming forward, getting the takedowns, just grinding. She put up 104 points in her last fight. This says De Silva, that's Ariane Lipski. She's been married. RIP to all of you weirdos. She put up 104 points, and that's because she had the takedowns, had the control time, and ultimately got the finish. And that's who Jasmine is. Not necessarily the finish side of the house. She's had a few, but she's mostly grinding forward, getting the takedowns, controlling. But this is a big test for her. She's fighting Mayra Bueno Silva. Mayra Bueno Silva just fought for a belt. Mayra Bueno Silva is no bum. Mayra Bueno Silva, you might say, and actually, you know what I love here? That this shows as a win for Holly Holm. And she did beat Holly Holm. On her official record, that has been ruled a no contest because after she beat her, she tested hot. I forget if it was Ritalin or Adderall, but it was one of those two things. And because of that, they overturned it. They made it a non-decision, a no contest, whatever you want to call it. She is coming off that loss to Macy Chasson. And you'll say, oh, TKO round 2. That's not really what happened, though. She won the first round. She was having success. She had a big cut. They had to stop it because of the cut. And then obviously the fight before that, she lost to Raquel Pennington. That was a pretty straightforward loss, but that was for a belt. The point being here is that Mayra Bueno Silva is good. She's fought a very high slate of fighter. She's beaten a former world champion in Holly Holm. And Mayra Bueno Silva is absolutely somebody that you need to worry about in this fight. She's very, very dangerous on the ground with incredible jiu-jitsu. She's got decent power in her hands. She is coming down 10 pounds. She's going from 135 to 125. Anytime you do that, there's some questions. What's going to be missing? Or what will she take with her? Is she going to bring power with her and keep her cardio? And now she's a real threat. Is she going to lose all the cardio but have power? Is she going to have no cardio or power? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Losing 10 pounds is kind of a big deal. So Mayra Bueno Silva coming down 10 pounds. Think about it. She's going from 135 to 125. That 10 pounds is a significant portion of her body weight. I think Mayra Bueno Silva is going to struggle to keep up. I think the pace is going to be a problem. Defending takedowns is a lot of work. I think Jasmine wins this fight. I'm pretty confident in Jasmine to win this fight. And I'm probably going to spend that $8,900 on her. She's one of my most confident picks. And frankly, when we start looking at the rest of this slate, I can at least trust her to hopefully get the takedowns, get the control. Not sure about a finish. Then we have Terrance McKinney taking on Damir Hadzovic. $9,200 Terrance McKinney. And boy, is that a roll of the dice. Because if Terrance McKinney wins, the proof is in the pudding. 131 points in this win. 102 in that win. 105 in that win. 97, 127. He covers his salary time and time again. But you'll see these inconsistencies. Put up 2 points in the loss to Ribovics. He put up 23 points in the Sadikov loss. He put up 11 points in the Bonfim loss. 39 points in the Drew Dober loss. The Drew Dober loss, he was absolutely mauling that dude. And then a tide shifted and he got finished. And the problem with Terrance McKinney is he has every talent in the world. He's got great hands, good speed, good power. He's a very good wrestler, great jiu-jitsu. He's good at everything. If you're building a fighter skill-wise, that's how you build him. The problem is he doesn't have a chin, he doesn't have cardio. And there's excuses floating around. Well, he doesn't have cardio because he almost just finishes people. And he comes out and he's guns blazing. And you have cardio or you don't. And he doesn't. That's the crapshoot. He is $9,200. He should win. He should win by finish because he's fighting an elderly man in Damir Hadzovic. Damir Hadzovic looks, if you look at the picture, he looks like the cranky old neighbor in a Disney movie. And he is old, but he's a quite pleasant gentleman. He's 38 years old. He hasn't fought in a significant amount of time, 2.5 years. And he wasn't really great to begin with. All of these wins, not a single one of them is over an active roster UFC fighter. Not one. A couple of the losses are solid, right? Lost to DeCasey. He was out wrestling that fight. Lost to Moicano. Lost to Gallegos. You got to go with Terrance McKinney here. He's going to win the fight. He should win the fight by knockout. If Damir Hadzovic was a little more dangerous, I'd be worried because of the chin. But he's not very dangerous. More of a grinder than anything. And I don't think he's going to be able to out-grind because that means he would have to survive chaos first. And I don't know if he'll be able to do that. So Terrance McKinney is the pick. I will probably put him in my lineup as well because the upside on the score is there. Then we have Shamil Gaziev. And he's taking on Thomas Petersen. There's no picture for Shamil, and I promise you that's a good thing. That's a good thing. If you're watching this and you're sitting down, you have a nice lunch at your desk, the last thing you want to see is that bridge troll right here. So you're good. No picture is A-okay. Great news for you. Shamil Gaziev, though, makes up for his looks with the fighting. The fighting skills are decent. The cardio is the biggest question anybody has, but he's got good hands, good accurate striking, decent power. He's got some wrestling. He's a giant Dagestani, but doesn't wrestle like a Dagestani. But there is wrestling there. He can shoot some takedowns. He can control where these fights go. You'll see here, he came onto the scene, smoked Martin Badai. Smoked him. Second round. Felt great about that. He was a dog. I bet on him there. Then he loses to Rosenstruik. They basically took him from a random undercard. This was on a pay-per-view. It wasn't completely random, but they took him from a random undercard and then threw him into a main event. And that obviously didn't work out for him. He gassed very badly and then got finished. And then he came back. He retooled. He made the adjustments. And this wasn't exactly a showcase fight, but he did have a ton of control time, some takedowns, and he showed us that he can fight for a full 15 minutes. Shamil Gaziev is back on a streak, if you will. I think he fell off, obviously, after Rosenstruik. He was on an unbelievable streak, undefeated. Fought the best fighter he ever fought, fell off, and I think he's back on the streak here. He just beat a middle-of-the-road guy. He's about to beat another middle-of-the-road guy in Thomas Petersen. Thomas Petersen, not great anywhere, good everywhere. Big guy, got some wrestling. The striking's okay. There's some volume. He's pretty durable. He's not spectacular at anything. He doesn't hit particularly hard. He's not crazy fast. But he's a tough dude who grinds, and he can wrestle. He can get takedowns. If he gets a takedown, he's got phenomenal control. He will take you down, and it is very hard for you to get out from underneath him. If he can't take you down, now he's in a striking match, and the striking's not great. It's not great. So while I do think Thomas Petersen could potentially steal around here with a takedown, could potentially have some success, I don't think he's winning this fight. I do think Shamil wins this fight. Shamil scored pretty well in his last win, but not well enough for me to throw him in his lineup. So I'm not spending $9,300 on Shamil Gaziev when I can spend $9,200 on Terrance McKinney, who, while is also unpredictable, when he wins, the upside is huge. Then we have Muhammad Naimov, and he's taking on Kaan Ofli. Muhammad Naimov should win this. I'm going to start this off with he should win this fight. He's decent everywhere. He's got good hands, some power. He's got good wrestling. He'll even defend takedowns early in the fight to keep it striking because he's so confident in his striking, and then move to his grappling. So Muhammad Naimov is a pretty well-rounded guy that's got power, finishing ability from everywhere. He also has had some weird luck in the UFC. For example, he was losing to Jamie Mullarkey before finding that finish in the second round. Nathaniel Wood, he was headbutting, he was kneeing in the crotch, he was grabbing the fence. He broke every rule you could break to get that win. This Eric Silva fight, Eric Silva's leg snapped in half. It was a fluke. Then finally against Lima. What is happening to this board next to me? I don't know if you can hear the absolute ridiculousness that's popping up on this freaking board, but it is loud, and I apologize to you. If you don't know what that board is, any of my hot take videos, I'm standing in front of this board. It's like an old school train board. It's called a Vesta board, and it goes, but damn it, is that thing loud. It just flicked 3 times in 2 minutes. It never does that. Anyway, he's coming off this loss to Lima, where there was some success early. And then he kind of slowed down and got hit, and, things turned quickly. But Muhammad Naimov is good. The reason I'm saying he should win is all the skills I mentioned. And the reason I'm saying should and not will is because of the losing to Mullarkey, the fouls required in the Wood fight, the fleek. He doesn't have a single win in the UFC that doesn't have some sort of but he is taking on Kaan Ofli. Kaan Ofli is a BJJ black belt, but he's not long and dangerous. He's short and stocky. So his jiu-jitsu black belt requires a little extra work. He's got to get the takedowns because off his back, we can't be serious with this thing. Do I have to unplug this board? My goodness. 2 seconds ago, it was showing the schedule. Now it's showing my Instagram followers. 5,287. Damn. Sorry about that, guys. You're just going to deal with it, though. Kaan Ofli, short, stocky guy. If he gets the takedowns and he's on top, he's got good control. Your ability to submit him off your back is going to be almost non-existent. So on top, he'll move to position. He'll get the side control. He'll work to mount. He'll make things happen. If he's taken down, this cannot be real. This cannot be real. Why is this thing going nuts right now? Holy crap. And if the microphone's not picking up this noise, you're wondering why I'm freaking out over nothing. If that does it again, I'm burning this house to the ground. Anyway, Kaan Ofli's not winning this fight. I don't know how he does win. I think he honestly gets bullied. He's not a big dude. I think he gets bullied, pushed around, taken down. The only way he can win this fight, if he survives early and we see Muhammad Naimov slow down, the pace gets to him, it's a real problem. He doesn't have success early. The fight goes long and Kaan can take over. I just don't see that happening. Even though Martin Santos hits like a freight train, knocked him out, meaning I think Myron hits a lot harder than Muhammad Naimov does. We could still see something crazy here. Muhammad Naimov is going to be the pick. Depending on your lineup and what your salary looks like, $9,000, you may be able to make that work for yourself. Then we have Mike Davis taking on Faraz Ziam. $8,400 Mike Davis, great deal. Great deal. Will be in my lineup. Now what? Now the board is showing it's doing Instagram followers again. This thing's got to be bugging for some reason. There's some bug going on. Well, we got to burn it. Dear Vesa board, you cost a fortune and you interrupt my live videos. Please stop or I'm going to smack the shit out of somebody. Thank you so much. The end. That's a letter I just wrote them on my phone. Mike Davis is very good. You can see here he's had 14 takedowns in his last couple of fights. Mike Davis can absolutely win this fight. He's got great hands. He's got great cardio. He's got good pressure, good wrestling. He can do all the things. Mike Davis should win. My only concern with Mike Davis is this layoff here. And this layoff is because of an injury. And then this fight was after another injury and a long layoff. And then this layoff was from another. The guy gets injured, takes a year to 2 years off, comes back, wins a fight, looks spectacular. We all talk about what a prospect he is. And then he gets injured, layoff, comes back. It's a cycle. I do think that cycle repeats itself because I think Mike Davis can absolutely win here. He is taking on Firas Ziam. Firas Ziam, historically, the Firas Ziam from the last fight and the Firas Ziam from every other fight are different people. The Firas Ziam that fought Claudio Playas, Jai Herbert, Figlak. That Firas Ziam is just a boring distance striker who's afraid to engage. That's it. French savate fighter that's just afraid. Touch, who, touch, woo. I don't want to be in a fight. Don't hurt me. The one in the last fight, Matt Frivola brought it out of him. Matt Frivola came forward, stayed in his face, kept it ugly, grind. And that forced Firas to fight. And when Firas fought, he made it happen. He actually finished Matt Frivola in the third. He avoided, I believe it was a guillotine that got pretty dangerous for a minute, put the pressure on, stayed busy, kept in his face, and then ultimately got the finish. And that Firas Ziam looked very good. Not afraid to engage. Was able to find a finish. I still don't think Firas Ziam can beat Mike Davis. Even that version, the more aggressive version, I don't think he can beat Mike Davis. Mike Davis is very good. Mike Davis is going to be the pick here. $8,400 for Mike Davis seems like an absolute bargain. That takes us to Vinicius Oliveira and Said Nurmagomedov. Vinicius Oliveira is absolutely somebody that you need to look at as an underdog. People love him as an underdog. I like him as an underdog. And when you're building a DraftKings fantasy lineup, you need underdogs. The money doesn't work the way you need it to. You have to get 6 fighters for $50,000. So you're going to need some affordable fighters, especially when we have fighters in the $9,000 price point, and the $9,200 price point that we're going to put in our lineup. Vinicius Oliveira is somebody that is very affordable and could potentially be worth the money. $7,500 for a gentleman that put up 74 points in his last fight, 99 points in the fight before that. Vinicius Oliveira is a dog. His nickname is Lock Dog, and he's a dog. He's aggressive on the feet. We saw the takedown, the scramble skills in his last fight against Ricky Simone. He never quits. He never gives up. He will move forward. He will pressure. He will fight for your money, and that's what you love to see. This is going to be a tough test, though, because he's fighting Said Nurmagomedov. And you can see in the picture, he's all beard, no stash, and he has that last name. You might assume he's a wrestler. He is not a wrestler. Can he wrestle? I'm sure. Does he wrestle? Not really. Every now and then he'll sneak 1 or 2 in, but that's not really who he is. Said Nurmagomedov is a long, rangy striker. He's creative. He'll work in all sorts of crazy techniques. He'll kick you from 2 inches away from your face. He'll spin. He'll use range to distance strike. He'll use range to slide into the pocket. He'll use that length and that reach on the ground to guillotine you. 3 of his last 5 wins are by guillotine. He guillotined Stamen, he guillotined Kakramanov in a fight that he was losing, and then he guillotined Gufarov. What this guy is doing with the guillotine is absolutely insane. He is a good fighter. He can strike, and he's got one trick on the ground. I still think Lucas Alexander wins this fight. I think Lucas is a great dog, and I think that price point for Lucas is, you can't pass it up. So I think Lucas Alexander should be in your lineup. And then we have... Lucas Alexander. What am I talking about? Vinicius Oliveira. Lucas Alexander. Vinicius Oliveira should be in your lineup. Vinicius. Then we have a heavyweight banger. Sergei Pavlovich. And he's taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Sergei Pavlovich, at this point in time, this stretch down here, let's do when he made his return. Golm, Green, Abubakaramov, Lewis, Tuivasa, Blades. That streak. All first-round knockouts. That streak was incredible. And that's when we were like, this guy's the boogeyman. This is terrifying. It's insane what this guy can do, how quickly he can do it. It's unbelievable. And then he fought Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall caught him, literally rolled off the couch, took that fight in a few days' notice, caught him, knocked him out. Okay, Tom's the interim champion of the world. We don't know quite how good he is yet, but he might be a big deal for a long time. Let's forgive that loss. Then he just lost to Alexander Volkov. And the way he lost is what was interesting here. He lost with a jab, just a a jab in his face, snapping his head back. He couldn't get past it. He couldn't find the range. And yes, Volkov is 7 feet tall. But the basics, the ones, the twos, the trying to turn a technical fighter into a brawler is what gave Sergei a problem. And that might be what happens here. Because Jairzinho Rozenstruik is a technical striker. He's not going to get sucked into a brawl. He's not a guy that's just going to Max Holloway his way through a fight. He's actually, even though he's a decorated Muay Thai fighter, he's actually a counter striker. He likes to step off. When you overcommit, when you move forward, he'll step off, boom. He'll step off, blast. He likes to stay on the outside. He likes to use your momentum against you. He likes to keep it technical. And Jairzinho Rozenstruik can absolutely win this fight. If he avoids the chaos and he doesn't let Sergei just come forward recklessly, I think he can have some sex, if he has sex, good for him. I think he'd have some success counter-striking in this fight. I think he can use the speed and use the forward pressure of Sergei Pavlovich against him. I like Jairzinho to win here, but I'm not putting him in my lineup. I'm not going to put Sergei in my lineup either. If I have a large tournament entry, you need exposure to both. Because whoever wins this fight is going to win by knockout and put up some very real numbers, period. But without the upside of grappling, there's no way we're going to see any other points. So it's either knockout or score nothing. Those are the only two options. And these are heavyweights. One punch changes everything. I like stable. I like safe. I'm going to avoid them both. But I'm going to pick Rozenstruik to win this fight. We have the co-main event of the evening. This is a fight that everybody wants to argue about. We got Nurmagomedov, the gap-toothed, one-eyed Middle Eastern redneck. Their version of a redneck. But he is a dangerous striker. And he's going to come out, nicknames Bullet, also Pirate in some places. And he comes out, throws 10,000 kicks, looks scarier than he actually is in the cage. But every now and then he'll just do insane things like he did in the last fight against Armen Petrosyan, where he had the double back fist knockout. And I'm giving a little bit of a hard time for not finding a ton of finishes in the UFC. You'll see he has 4 fights, 2 are finishes. Even this Tricoli, he finished him in the 3rd round. Let's remember, Tricoli sucks, was cut by the UFC, sucks. This guy sucks. I don't know if that's clear. He sucks. And he took this fight on 3 days' notice, flew to the other side of the world. And he barely finished him in the 3rd round. Couldn't finish Oleksiejczuk, which is a guy who gets finished all the time. Couldn't finish Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva's decent. He did finish Armen Petrosyan in the 2nd round, but he was losing the 1st round. And then double back fist just made history. It was actually insane what he did there. He does score really well in these decisions because the volume is there. 113 strikes. Significant strikes. 222 total. 97 significant strikes, 123 total. And he's one of the very few guys at the higher weight classes that you'll see such a big difference between regular strikes and significant strikes. And that's because he does a lot of just touch movements. A lot of just throwing kicks out like they're jabs. A lot of just jabs. A little touch. He's not really planting. He's not sitting down on stuff. He's not really forcing a finish, which is why he is successful. He's very light on his feet, but also why this fight could get interesting because he's fighting Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page is an unbelievable striker. A very unorthodox striker in the traditional regard of MMA. And that's because he's a combat karate guy. And not combat karate, the promotion. Combat karate, the sport. A sport karate fighter. He's got the long stance like a Wonder Boy. And he leaps in, he leaps out. He's insanely fast. He will cover 6 feet of distance in 5 seconds. It is nuts what this guy can do. Just in, out. He'll touch you. He'll be gone before you know what's going on. If you want to see a true showcase, watch that fight with Kevin Holland. What he did to Kevin Holland in this fight was unbelievable. And you want to call Kevin a quitter, and Kevin can't defend a takedown. I agree with you there. What Kevin can do is strike. This house is chaos right now. We got a dog barking. I got this board that won't stop. And all I'm trying to do is give you absolute fire picks and breakdown. That's what I'm trying to do. And this stupid little fluffy dog doesn't want me to do it. The board doesn't want me to do it. And the world is working against us. And we're not going to let the world win. We're not going to let the world. We are taking this back. I think Kevin Holland and the way that he lost in that fight could be somewhat of an indication of what happens in this fight. Nurmagomedov is busy. He's fast. He makes things happen. But he's not insanely dangerous. He's also very traditional, and I think he might have a hard time managing the range of Michael Venom Page. Ian Gary had a hard time. Ian Gary was losing the striking exchanges, so had to shoot his own takedowns. Ian Gary, the striker, who everybody tries to take down, turned into a wrestler against Michael Venom Page. I think Michael can win this fight. I am not going to put him in my DraftKings lineup because even if he wins, I don't think he scores well. I mean, the Kevin Holland fight was a showcase, a technical showcase. It was unbelievable what this guy did to Kevin Holland. And he only scored 54 points. So, 53. So, I don't think he's going to be worth it for a DraftKings lineup, but maybe avoiding Shara could benefit you in one way or another. And then we have the main event of the evening, and a somewhat affordably priced main event. Whatever side you're on, you should be able to squeeze one of these fighters in your lineup. We got Izzy Adesanya, former world champion. Israel Adesanya, one of the best to ever do it. Losing 3 of his last 4 fights. And while you might look at that and say, he's done, he's washed, he's out of the sport, nothing left to offer us. Let's say when he beat Jared Cannonier, he was the best middleweight on the planet. I think that's a solid fact we can all live with. He was the best middleweight on the planet. Then he loses to Alex Pereira in a fight that he was winning for 4 rounds before getting caught. Then he beats Alex Pereira. So now, okay, he's still the best middleweight on the planet. And he loses to Sean Strickland, loses to Dricus. And while the loss to Dricus, he was kind of bullied and ultimately submitted. And the loss to Sean Strickland, he got dropped in the first round, which was shocking. Maybe Israel Adesanya is the 3rd best fighter in the world. Maybe Dricus is 1, Strickland is 2, and Adesanya is 3. And that's still an incredible place to be. Or maybe he's done. He'll never win again. He's going to ride off into the sunset, getting finished similar to a Chuck Liddell. We don't know yet. We'll find out a little bit more in this fight. But Israel Adesanya, what I can tell you is looked good in the fight against Dricus. He was lighting Dricus' body up. The striking in that fight, Israel Adesanya looked very, very good. Yeah, he couldn't defend the takedowns, couldn't deal with the pressure and the strength and the jiu-jitsu, but the striking was good, and this should be a mostly striking matchup because Nasruddin Imavov, while he is well-rounded, while he does have some takedowns like he did against Jared Cannonier, took down Chris Curtis 3 times before the headbutt in the 2nd round, Nasruddin Imavov typically is a striker. And even if he wants to wrestle, we saw Izzy land 92 significant strikes in a fight where he was taken down 4 times and ultimately submitted. I think Nasruddin is going to come forward, look to strike. I think he's going to be surprised by how hard Izzy hits, by how aggressive Izzy is being. I think he'll be surprised at Israel Adesanya's takedown defense, and I think it's going to frustrate him a bit. I'm going to pick Israel Adesanya. I think Izzy wins this fight, but I'm not here to convince you of what I'm going to do. If you think Nasruddin's going to win, then throw Nasruddin in your lineup. I did the breakdown with BetSam this week, and he made a phenomenal case for Nasruddin Imavov to win. So stick with your guns. I'm going to be on the Izzy side. I don't know if I'm going to put him in my lineup because I don't think it's going to be worth the money. Obviously, he has 5 rounds to work with, which is great, but I don't think he's going to finish Nasruddin. And then we're in a situation where even without the finish, how many points can he realistically put up? I'm going to go with Izzy here. That's my breakdown, guys. Check out the price point articles. He just put up $4,600. If you're a premium member, you have access to his article at the end of the week, the Slate Sleuth, a full breakdown of the card, where you should put your pieces, who you should have, who you should not have. After the weigh-ins, once things are locked, he put up some solid numbers at UFC 311. And if you're not a premium member, well, you can get his article for free in the beginning of the week called Price Point. And then you can have success there and decide to become a premium member. After you become a premium member, you'll have full access to the DraftKings ownership, full access to the DraftKings Optimizer, which is about to get a massive facelift. Everything that we offer is available right now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month. All the picks, the bets, the tools, the DraftKings Fantasy, the Underdog Fantasy, the Prize Picks, everything. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. UFC 312 is next week. Unlock it now. You'll have this week, next week, and the 2 fight nights after that.